Senator Franzen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Senator Matthews for bringing this bill forward. It's indeed an important discussion, one that all of us have had since the beginning of this public health emergency. I'm a small business owner as well, so I see it from that perspective. I also have been in corporate settings before. I see it from that perspective. I'm a mother of 2 little kids. I see it from that perspective. And certainly, even yesterday, I actually helped my in-laws get their vaccines. And I have to share that because it was a bright moment in my week in terms of getting them an appointment, helping them get an appointment. So I understand how this pandemic has affected all of our lives and personally, and how we are all juggling and struggling with different difficult decisions that all levels of government have had to deal with. Last week we were talking about schools. Certainly we worry that schools are not all open to capacity because they're still concerned about the risk. And that's what we're doing, members. We're managing, balancing risk. So I do have an amendment, but before going to that, I do want to put on the record that we're all assessing our risk. Liability is a big deal in the business community. My business, for the most part, is not showing up at work. They're doing that remotely. And we're a small business. We have potential liability issues long-term if someone does get hurt on the job because of COVID for something that could have been preventable. But all of this is still really new to us, right? Even after a year, employers have had to balance, have had to really make tough decisions. And at the corporate level, I've heard on the news just as much as all of you, some businesses are not planning to go back to work until summer at the earliest, fall or even at the end of the year. And why? Because they're assessing their own risk. They're assessing whether they can accommodate people going back to the office, going back to the cube. I've been on a cube. It's pretty close to each other. And we're assessing cost. There could be a liability issue that ends up in court that we haven't even tackled. So this is all new, members, and as policymakers, we need to take those same risks into consideration. And I am not willing to risk and have that risk be on my hands, on my vote, that we open too soon with not enough risk mitigation. I do believe there's merits to this conversation that we're having, certainly. I've had conversations as early as today with Commissioner of Deed on a constituent business owner that I've been trying to help since November. I've had a conversation with the governor yesterday talking about this issue and why it's so important not only to me but to all of us as Minnesotans. And I think he hears us loud and clear, and obviously with this bill, but we're doing a one-sided, non-collaborative, very much divisive bill in this body instead of actually working to improve it, to actually protect the workers, protect the people that we're telling that you have to go back to work in person. And I don't think we're really thinking it through. I have concerns about insurance costs. We care so much about our businesses, but do you think businesses aren't going to be charged higher premiums for business insurance with this COVID crisis? You don't think that's something that the business insurance industry is looking at right now? Are we addressing that in this bill? The amendment we just talked about of personal protective equipment. We have an executive order in place right now to protect employees from using protective equipment. At first, yes, it was scarce, but now it's readily available, and people have sewed their own mask. Now they're double masking. We've adjusted. And I think that we need to make sure that that is still something that we protect. Something as easy as saying that if you're going to open up, that you're not going to be retaliated against for you wearing your mask or wearing your protective equipment if your employer doesn't give it to you, doesn't provide it.